Good morning, everybody. So did you feel it? The world's largest financial entity, United States government, shut down. And we all felt the dramatic impact of it. And now that they're back up, we feel a tremendous sense of relief. If anything, this just proves that politics is a mere sideshow of the real deep state. The deep state never shuts down. The banking industry, the federal oversight committees, the military-industrial complex, the prison-industrial complex, the regulatory agencies, those never shut down. They're too cash flow positive all the time. They literally waste trillions of dollars every year. The Pentagon can't account for trillions of dollars on an annual basis, much less over the last 10, 20, 40, 50 years. They're self-funding entities at this point. The United States government takes in records amount of taxes and yet is in a constant debt. And it has nothing to do with them so much overspending. It's just that that's how this paradigm works. There has to be more debt created every year in excess of the debt and interest accrued the year before. So as much as I was against the last year's elections, my vote was for vote nobody because both sides are bought and paid for. At the end of the day, we are going to see more war, more debt, more control, more surveillance as this deep state continues to solidify and become the cancer that it is until it actually kills the healthy host, at which point maybe freedom will be a popular choice once again after everything else fails. I've known this for quite a while. I used to be a very avid conservative Republican. I used to go to Rush Limbaugh's shows and listen to Sean Hannity, and I was in the Marine Corps, and then I woke up. I woke up to understand that our entire financial system is a complete fraud, that the banks literally own the world, and that not only the banks, that there's individual families, namely the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, Kuhn, Loeb, Schiff, all these deep old world banking interests that own the central banks of the world, that own the money, the debt-based money that's created out of this world, and the government is merely a pawn of these bankers' interests. If they want war, they will get war. If they want natural resources from another country, they will destabilize those countries, invade them, have young men like myself go over there and sacrifice their lives in murdering innocent people to gain their assets. And then here at home, it's a debt and death paradigm. Here at home, Americans are consistently put into more debt, and we're monitored and controlled, and eventually we're going to get some sort of crypto mark of the beast money after the dollar fails, and they've already planned for this. And my feeling is that seeing this more on a grand scale and not being so inside the moment, thinking like, oh, if we just get the right guy into office, that things are going to change. Nothing is ever going to change. The state, there's, I think, 1.4 million bureaucrats that are never up for an election every year, that the budgets increase on a regular basis regardless of their performance. There's massive amount of waste, and that it's all about controlling those that actually produce the wealth, which are people like you and me. And that's the reason why I've been so avid about buying silver, because it's a way of paying myself in real tangible wealth and the constitutional way of doing it. I mean, if you look back at the Coinage Act, I think of 1782, the dollar itself is defined by silver. Now we have these Federal Reserve notes, which are merely a debt instrument to a privately owned bank that owns all the world's debt. So by buying silver, you're actually deleveraging their banking system that's built up on this global generational Ponzi fraud, paying yourself in real tangible wealth, and ultimately securing your future for when this Ponzi collapses. I mean, we're almost 10 years past the last financial crisis, and I've charted this since long-term capital management failed in 1998, where some of the world's smartest men in the world, I mean, Nobel laureates, went out and created high frequency trading and leverage bets and derivatives and all these other things, and made tons of money that even befuddled Wall Street. Like, they just didn't get how much money that they were making. And ultimately, during the Russian crisis, debt crisis, those bets turned sour massively and quickly, and they went from the darlings of Wall Street to the pariahs of Wall Street, to the point where in 1998, the Federal Reserve, this privately owned central bank, had to negotiate with all the Wall Street banks that had all the counterparty risk to let long-term capital management to bail them out, and they did. except for Bear Stearns. And Bear Stearns is the first victim of the next financial crisis 10 years later, from 1998 to 2008. Bear Stearns was short silver. Silver ran up, effectively wiping out all the capital on these bets against silver. That were exponential on the way up, so because every time you make these bets, they're exponentially leveraged because of whatever strike price that they have. Bear Stearns was eventually sold for $2 a share to J.P. Morgan, and this all happened the spring before the financial crisis. And in 2008, we then see that all the stuff that long-term capital management was doing in 1998, this individual entity, was now institutionalized on Wall Street with all these leverage bets and liar loans and all these bad debts that were out there that they were betting on, and it infected the entire Western civilization. And now nothing was changed, nothing was fixed, but it went from an individual crisis in 1998 with long-term capital management to an institutional crisis in 2008, and now it is going to be a systemic crisis, because now, just like how Wall Street had to because just like in 1998, Wall Street, the institutions had to save the individual long-term capital management by bailing them out. In 2008, the sovereign banks, or the sovereign nations and the privately owned central banks had to step in and save the institutions. Now, where's all the debt? Where's the reform? Nobody went to jail. Nothing has changed, and yet that's where we are today. Every single market is in a bubble except for silver. Silver is the antithesis of the system. It is the cure for the system. It is the gravity, it's the weight, it's the reality behind these digital illusions of wealth. And we're so horribly extended now, and there's nowhere else to go. The only logical solution is a global fiat cryptocurrency, which is what they're going for. I don't think that they're going to get it. I think we're going to have massive decentralization of power, not further consolidation of power. I think that people are going to be so upset about their worlds falling apart that there's going to be political fallout everywhere, and it's not going to be this simple, let's put in one world government. They could put a crypto, mark of the beast coin for large international trades, and maybe centralize all these, central banks. I don't know. Something's coming. All I am concerned about is getting my wealth through this next financial crisis, because that's where you make the huge generational money. It is going to be down Exeter's pyramid from the most illiquid, most digital illusion of wealth, from derivatives all the way down to, real estate and stocks and bonds and all this other stuff, down to real tangible wealth like gold and silver. And gold is so overvalued. I mean, 9-10 times to what silver is, that I wouldn't even consider putting anything else into except for silver. It is the most undervalued. It is the most vital commodity, probably next to oil. It's the next versatile commodity next to oil. Because it is found in almost 10,000 products, second only to oil, and oil is on its way out as an age of humanity, and silver, I believe, is going to be the next vital asset for all the advanced technology and communications and medical purposes and all these other solar power. All these things are going to be vital around the use of silver. It is a depleting asset. It is undervalued if you look at the amount of money that's floating around the world, it is a wonderful thing. So this week we have 2 mini mintages. I have a few more days left of our 2-ounce proof love design, which is for people who are interested in Valentine's Day. That's one of the reasons why I released it. And then definitely one of my top 5 designs that I've ever done is Never Trust Government. And it basically highlights that the indigenous people of North America, the Native Americans were consistently pushed west. Their cultures destroyed. Chemical warfare was used against them with pox and just outright plundering of their lands and murdering. And there was a lot of back and forth, but it just shows how the government constantly betrayed and destroyed the Native American population. And I don't see how it would be any different than what was going on, with us now. So these are available. This is a 2-ounce BU for as little as $2 to $3 over spot per ounce. By far one of the best values you're ever going to find out there. They all come with certificate of authenticity. They're only available for a few days, and then that's it. They'll never be made again. And you can find them exclusively at goldenstatemint.com. Thank you.